Hey, I'm Steph. I'm a motivator, creator, small business owner, and educator. I'm a lover of all things health, spirituality, inspiration, and business. These are just a few words to describe me, along with passion, grit, and resiliency. Regardless of what I'm up to, I am soul-driven to create a purpose-filled life and find the advantages in adversity, all while keeping a smile on my face.
Soul Driven with Steph is a podcast that will fill up your cup and leave you feeling empowered, inspired, and on fire as you listen to interviews and stories of other soul-driven and strong women that have overcome against all odds. This podcast was a calling on Steph's soul to serve, connect, and share stories of struggles and successes, all to create a community so that you know you're never alone. Grab a cup of coffee, get ready to learn, laugh, and leave with wisdom and strategies to connect to your soul and get back in the driver's seat of your life today. Here's Steph.
Welcome back to another episode of Soul Driven with Steph. Today is a very special solo episode as I reflect on most of this year and my pregnancy, share with you what I've been doing to prepare for maternity leave and what's coming next as I step into this brand new season for me of motherhood. So let's just start with some reflections. As I sat down to record this episode, I started jotting down all the memories, the core memories that I've had from my pregnancy that really stand out to me. And I just thought I'd share them with you because many of you were maybe part of these memories, or maybe it will give you some ideas of things to do that will be really fun for your own pregnancy if you're in that season or looking towards that season of your life. So first and foremost, the gender reveal party was one of my favorite things that we did, and I'm so glad that we did it. I know they can get kind of a bad rap and are a little bit cliche, but it was truly one of my favorite memories. So that was back in June, which we were so set on the fact that we were having a boy, and turned out we had a girl. We're having a girl and we're just super excited about it. So that kind of changed my mindset right away about just thinking about being a girl mom instead of a boy mom. And now I am so excited about the fact that I'm going to have a little girl to spend so much time with. But that was a core memory that I had, was the gender reveal party. I also really loved our trip, our camping yurt trip that we took up to the UP in the middle of summer. So that was in July. My husband, Ben, and I, with our dog Yuka, went up to Ironwood, Michigan. We stayed in a yurt. We did a ton of hiking, beach days, camping, and it was just so fun to disconnect. At that point, I was still very active in my pregnancy, and we went at the perfect time because I don't think I would have been able to do as much hiking if we would have went later. So it was truly perfect timing. So that created a lot of great memories of just us and our family. I also loved my baby shower in August that my mom and sister threw for me. That was a really fun day, and I got to see so many friends, some family, and I just felt really special and loved on by my people around me. And then to bounce off of that, I really loved my surprise baby shower that so many of my friends from Small Business Sister Circle threw for me in August as well. I was completely blown away by the generosity that they had in throwing this party for me. So my dear friend Emmeline had just this whole experience prepared for us. We were in a circle of sending good energy towards me and the baby, and then everyone got to pick a charm and go around and add it to this bracelet, and they shared why they picked the charm. And it was one of the hardest yet most loving things that I've ever experienced, because it was hard to receive all of those positive affirmations and stories and words from people, but like truly a core memory I left that day just feeling overwhelmed with love and support. And that is something that I will cherish forever, as well as that bracelet that we made that day. So thank you to everyone that was a part of that experience and helping create that for me. It was absolutely amazing and like nothing I could have ever experienced before. And I hope to be able to give that experience to someone else in the future because I loved it. I also loved my solo trip to Arizona. Like, this baby girl has gone so many places with me this year. Arizona was probably my favorite trip that I did because it was so drastically different to get into a new area, new state, to go by myself. Well, technically I was with her, but to just have that alone time to reconnect to myself and stepping into this season, that was so needed. And I made so many other new business friends and women that I've stayed connected with since then. Many of them have been on the podcast even. So that's really exciting. And I look forward to going back to that event next year as well. Next was just honestly the fact that I've been dancing all year since I got pregnant. I really wanted to commit to doing the outdoor dance concert that was at the end of August. So in order to do that, I had to show up for hip hop every Wednesday night at my dance studio, INE Dance, and I knew it was just the push that I needed to stay accountable when there were a lot of times where I just didn't like physically feel like going to dance, even though I love dancing. It held me accountable all summer. So I showed up every single Wednesday and we learned choreography that added on every week. And then by the end of the summer, we performed for the outdoor dance concert. And at that point, I was 30 weeks pregnant, maybe a little more. And it was hard. I was getting out of breath. It was truly the hottest day of the summer that the concert was held. And I freaking did it. So I am super proud of myself for doing that and just showing up every single week, trying something different, challenging myself in a new way, which has been so good for me this year to have art and dance as that kind of outlet for not only my physical health, but just that creativity and community because I've made so many friends there along the way. I also have just thoroughly enjoyed preparing the nursery. We have a super tiny room for this baby. Our house is not very big, but I spent the entire year decluttering with my dear friend Emily, and we have literally tackled every single space in my house, to my basement, to my garage. And so once the nursery was decluttered, my mom came over and helped me paint, in which I did like kind of a dark teal. If you know me, you know I'm not a big pink girl. So even though most baby girl nurseries, you see everything pink, that's just not me. So we did a dark teal, and I really went with like a kind of vintage boho vibe, which again is just more me. And I love it so much. So my mom came over and helped me paint. Ben put up the crib, put together the rocking chair, and I found some really fun pieces for decor at, of course, one of my favorite stores, Practically Posh, where my friend Brenda was like a huge source of inspiration and helping me come up with the ideas. And then, of course, good old Hobby Lobby. And so we decorated that within the last week, and it's really come together. It's almost, I would say it's pretty much ready. One of the other favorite memories I had was the maternity shoot that I did with my friend Emily. And we actually surprised Ben, my husband. So I knew he wasn't going to be thrilled about maternity photos, but I really wanted them. And I just wanted to have all the memories possible because, again, I just feel so grateful for this child that I've been waiting and wanting for so long that I'm just doing all the things that I want to do because you never know if you're going to have these opportunities again. So I scheduled a maternity shoot, but I also scheduled a surprise picnic for us to partake in before the photos. So he thought we were just going to take photos. We set it up on my favorite trail, the quarry, where we typically run or hike. And we had a local business, Slumber Party Picnics. Samantha set up this beautiful romantic picnic with this incredible view of the bluffs. So as we started walking out to the trail, he was very surprised at what was going on. So this picnic was all set up for us with charcuterie, sodas, and I was like, yes, this is for us. So we got to enjoy that for about an hour. She had these connecting questions. I brought some questions that I wanted to talk about. And we just had the best time. Then by the time Emily showed up to take photos, not only was it sunset, but we were just like warmed up. He was in a good mood. And it was just one of my all-time favorite memories. So I actually got all those photos printed. They're hanging in the nursery, which I love. And I even got a book made of it because those are just memories that I wanted to have forever. So that was definitely a core memory. And then most recently, I have the best group of friends who threw me a nesting party. So my dear friend Andrea, who is just an incredible human, such a support, rallied together our group of friends to throw me a nesting party, which I didn't really know what this was, but I've been seeing it as a trend. So we were kind of like, okay, yeah, let's try it. Let's do it. So my friend Andrea came over ahead of time and helped me develop a list of tasks of things that I wanted done around the house before the baby comes. And she brought over charcuterie boards the day of the party, mocha coffee. Like everyone had tasks to tackle, anything from creating a nursing cart of items that would stay on our main level to vacuuming my vehicle and getting the car seat ready to, we just started deep cleaning and decluttering my entire house and especially our kitchen, which felt incredibly amazing. So my friend Emily was there helping me declutter the kitchen so we could just like pull out anything that we were no longer needing or using or expired food and things. We cleaned out the freezer so that we'd have room for meals. Sarah and Kerrigan and Alex tackled my bedroom dresser, and both my mom and my friend's mom, Karen, came over to help, and they were just hardcore cleaning my basement, like vacuuming cobwebs, and it was just incredible. My friend Kelly came and put together some of the baby items. Andrea helped sterilize the bottles and get all the feeding things ready. Like I felt so overwhelmed going into that party because I was experiencing the worst pain in my pregnancy so far. I felt like I could barely walk. I had so much stretching pain and hip pain and back pain that weekend, and I was just feeling down because I couldn't physically do anything. And so to have all these women in my life come over and just take it on and like get into the deep cleaning, the decluttering, and having so much fun doing it just literally brings tears to my eyes because there's no way I would have been able to get all that work done. And if you know what it's like to nest and go into having a baby, you just want your house so cleaned and decluttered and you just don't want to have to worry about it. So I am just immensely grateful for the crew, the nesting crew, the best nesting crew that came over this past weekend and helped me prepare in so many ways. Like just the clarity that you gain from having your house deep cleaned and decluttered is like one of the best things you can ever do for yourself. So the fact that my friends came into this for an entire Sunday just out of the generosity of their heart, I'm so incredibly grateful and I can't wait to pay it forward. So those were all of my core memories, which I could probably keep going on and on because I have so many things from this past almost 9 months that I am so grateful for. So as this episode drops, I am about to hit my 36-week mark tomorrow. So I'm in the 9th month officially, and I mean, I'm technically at a point where this baby girl could come any day, and I'm feeling the best about it that I possibly could. And it's because I've put so much effort and energy into preparing for my maternity leave. This has been my mentality since I found out I was pregnant, that I wanted a true maternity leave. I owe it to myself to take that time off. I have waited so long to have this baby that I want this time, this uninterrupted quality time with her, where I'm not being pulled back into work. So, with that said, I have worked endlessly, hours upon hours, to build out systems, to hire on support, to build a team, to train up the team, all of the things for the past few months to prepare for a maternity leave through the rest of this year, 2024, and possibly even into January if I need it. So depending on when this baby comes, she comes in October, I might be ready to jump back into things in January. And if she comes in November, then I just want to know that I have the option to take my time easing back into work, and I'm not going to feel like I'm pulled back in because I need to be, or even that I financially need to be. So my goal was to really set myself up mentally, emotionally, and financially so that I could be on maternity leave even longer than I possibly needed to be. So here is what I have done, because I promised that I would share this with all of you. And I've been open and transparent about my journey since I started this podcast, even before then, of anyone that's been along the journey with me. I am never afraid to tell you exactly what I'm doing and how it's working out for me. So although I don't know how it's working out for me yet, and I probably won't know that until hindsight, but here's what I've been doing and what I hope to kind of be the outcome of that. So here's what I've done in my real estate business. I have prepped for my monthly mailers to go out basically through the rest of the year. I am ordering client gifts the following months so that those can be delivered while I'm on maternity leave. And I've prepped my team by letting them know who are my current active clients that I have under contract or even a buyer agency. In what ways might I need their help? Our office admin, Tony, has been really helpful in taking over my weekly email because I want that to continue to go out. And my coach through real estate really challenged me to just continue to keep some of those monthly reoccurring tasks, like my notes and calls, just doing them once a month, one day a month, and having them on the calendar as something to look forward to, which I think I'm going to look forward to it being on maternity leave, but I'm also leaving open room for space and flexibility. So one thing that I don't know is how I'm going to feel in this maternity leave. You know, I hear some people talk about how you can't even find time to shower, let alone eat and sleep. So how am I going to work on anything? And then I have other people that say, well, the baby sleeps a lot, and while they're sleeping, you can get X, Y, and Z done. You'll really enjoy being productive during those hours. I have no idea where I'm going to fall or what my experience is going to be like. So my approach has really been to set myself up for success now, prepare as much as I possibly can ahead of time so that if I need to be really, truly hands off, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. And I will come back after maternity leave and it's not going to be chaos. So that has been my mindset going into this. And even if I'm waiting all through October for the baby to come, I don't really want to have a lot of work to do, if any work at all, because one, I'm getting more tired. Two, my sleep is crap right now. And three, I just want to be able to have hands off and answer questions for anyone on either my real estate team or for Sister Circle. I just want to be like that guide on the side right now, answering questions, helping, but I don't want to be doing, because I definitely want to be able to step back as soon as that baby comes. And I don't want to be stressed and working up to my birth. The idea of birth already terrifies me and is stressful. As much mindset work I can do around it, it still scares me. And I don't want to go into it stressed. So that's why basically not working up until my due date is really important for me, at least with this experience. So that's what I've done in the real estate business. In Sister Circle, I've shared on previous episodes that we've really built our system of support. We have now we have 11 certified coaches to lead our trainings and our meetings. I've hired Holly this summer, who has taken over so many things. So I created an entire rhythms calendar for her specifically. And so she will know every single week what is coming up, what needs to get done, who does she need to touch base with, all of those things. That was a lot of work, but we did it. And I've trained her on it for the past couple weeks, and I feel really good about where we're at with things. And she is going to rock it during my maternity leave. So I've really already passed off a lot of those things so that in October, I'm just there to be on the calls, be at the meetings if I'm able to, but kind of be a fly on the wall and just sit back and make sure that things are smooth and I can answer questions. So then when I'm not available, once the baby comes, they know exactly what to do, which is really hard. It's so hard for me to be hands off in my businesses because I freaking love what I do. But I know that by constantly trying to get into the weeds and do the things myself, I'm never going to create those opportunities of trust for other people to step up when they really need to. So that's my goal for October, to step back. We recently rebuilt our entire membership structure for Sister Circle, whereas instead of having quarterly membership commitments, we have 6 months. And this took a lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of feedback that we were given. And honestly, having this baby has pushed me to work so far ahead that I have pretty much every event and meeting date planned out for the next year. And at least 6 months, we have our topics, our coaches. We have our member gala coming up in January, and I already have the date for Sister Circle Summit, our 5th annual, which is going to be in the spring of 2025. And we're rolling that out next month in October. So how crazy is that? Whereas before I used to plan this event starting 2 months ahead of time, we're now 6 months out. And here's the cool thing. I have a whole team surrounding the launch and promotion of this annual event so that it will continue to build hype and energy and ticket sales while I'm on maternity leave. So we're launching the date in October. I'm so excited. We're working with Laurel from Laurel Dean Creative to create our logo and our artwork for the theme. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be so good, you guys. I seriously can't wait to share all of this. So we have Laurel working on our graphics, and she'll be doing some of the artwork for the event. I have Michelle from Collective Marketing, who's also a member and certified coach, who's going to be doing some of the marketing and promoting of the event while I'm on maternity leave. And then we also have Olivia, who is also a member and owns Outsourcing with Olivia, who is going to be working on parts of the coordination of the event and the actual, planning and communication with attendees leading up to it. And then Holly is taking over our vendors and sponsors. So we have this whole team built around our summit this year because my goal is to show up that day with so much energy, so much love and excitement to pour into every single attendee, do the hosting, do the speaking, the things that I love the most, and connecting with the other people, and then take my hands off the rest because I'm going to have a newborn baby. So this is the year for me to really hardcore delegate and start passing off some of these event things, which I love event planning, but I really just need to be the visionary and let other people carry out the details. So we have a whole team. And what's cool is they're all like part-time freelance. They're either part-time employee or part-time like independent contractor. So I just think that goes to show that you don't need full-time employees to have a successful business or build a successful team. I want to show all of you in real time as small business owners that this is what I'm doing to build out my maternity leave and build out a team for the future of my business that doesn't rely just on me, and it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to do it either. Because I think what we tend to get into is the mindset of, oh, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. And maybe the first few years you do your business or you do an event, you can't. But you have to get to a point where you pull yourself out of the weeds and you either become the CEO, visionary driver of your business, or you stay in the doing and you hire someone else that helps you expand your business and your vision. So I am so excited. I feel so prepared for this maternity leave to be able to just be present with my baby, soak up all the snuggles, and just really enjoy this time, which I know is going to be challenging. There's going to be so many new things and challenges for me in store, which is why it's important for me to not be stressed about work or be pulled back into my business and the doing, because I really want to be the best mom and human and wife and friend that I can be without worrying about what's happening in my business. This is the freedom that entrepreneurship allows us, but it's only available to us if we make the time to do it and to be intentional about it. So me, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, none of this would be available. In the business that I was in previously, none of this was available. I could barely take a day off, let alone imagine taking a month, 2, 3 months out of my business. So I'm challenging you. If this is a goal that you have for your business, if you are going into a season of wanting to start a family and you're an entrepreneur and you want a maternity leave, you can create that for yourself. There is no one holding you back from doing that but yourself and your mindset and any limiting beliefs that you have. So, with all of that said, I can't wait to report back on, the new experiences I've had, the new perspective shifts, how it went actually being checked out of my business, what I would do again, what I would maybe change, like all of the things. And while I've delegated and outsourced pretty much everything I possibly can, one of the things I knew I couldn't do that with is this podcast. And I didn't want to rush myself into batching episodes that I needed to promote. Like, I just didn't want to do that while I was on this leave, taking this intentional time. And you guys have all been with me on the journey. I launched this podcast 2 years ago when I was in a totally different place. I was downsizing my first business, launching my real estate career, and moving towards a totally different lifestyle. And I shared all of it with you over the last 2 years. If you go back to the original episodes of me launching it and then talking about all the pivots I was going through and all the changes, and even this year, my solo episodes have been so focused on building my system of support and pregnancy. And it's just been such a cool journey. And I'm so grateful for you for being along on the ride with me. And I'm excited to see what's next. I want to know, what do you want from this podcast in the future? So I am going to take a pause on the podcast, soak up my maternity leave, and I really do hope to come back with some fresh ideas, fresh energy, new perspectives. I want to know what topics you guys want to talk about. Who do you want to hear from? How can we continue to grow this podcast and this community in a really fun, connected, and intentional way? That is my goal. So if you are an avid listener of the podcast, or even if you listen every once in a while, I would love your feedback. So in the show notes, there's a Google form. If you click that link, I would so appreciate you filling it out. If you fill it out, you're going to get something special in the mail from me. And I just appreciate you listening, being along for the journey. And I would love to know, what do you want from this podcast in the future? I have some ideas, and I have hopefully some big things coming, not just out of motherhood, but from me in the future as I step into this new season that I'll be excited to share with you. But right now, I am going into this season of contraction. And I've talked about this on the podcast a little bit, and I've been talking about it a lot with everyone around me. Some people are in a season of contraction, and some people are in a season of expansion. And oftentimes we set really ambitious goals for ourselves, and often we measure ourselves based on what we've achieved in comparison to those large goals. So we're actually measuring ourselves against a gap instead of measuring what we've achieved against where we started to experience how much we've gained. So right now, as I sit here 2 years later from launching my original podcast episodes, the season that I was in then, going through so much loss, so much grief, so much identity crisis, pulling myself apart from my first business, scaling that business down, launching new businesses, and then eventually letting that original business go and moving into motherhood and pregnancy. Like, holy cow, we have been on a journey, and it has been a big season of expansion over the last 2 years. And now I'm going into a season of contraction where I'm intentionally pulling back. But what's really cool about it is I've been so intentional about planning this season of contraction that my vision is still expanding, but it's just not me that's expanding it. It's my team. It's my support. It's the people I've pulled in. It's my coaches. It's my real estate team. It's the freelance people I've hired to do some of these projects for me. Everything gets to move forward and expand while I get to contract and soak in these really special moments as a new mom. So I hope this is resonating wherever you're at. I don't care if you're about to have a baby or not. Most of you probably aren't listening to this. But in what ways could you prepare yourself for a season of a pause, of contracting and pulling back, or maybe expanding your vision, your dreams, but not feeling like you have to do it all yourself? This has been the biggest lesson for me in this pregnancy is I can't do it all myself. There is absolutely no physical, mental, emotional way that I can do everything I want to do on my own. So we have to pull in support. And the hardest part of pulling in support is we have to actually allow ourselves to receive that support wholeheartedly, open-heartedly. And that is the hardest part because we have to love ourselves enough to know that we deserve it and we're worth it and that other people love us too and want to help us grow and expand and take care of ourselves in whatever season that we're in. So I am just so grateful to all of you for being listeners of this podcast, whether you just started listening or you've been listening the last 2 years. If you just started listening, go back to old episodes. There's so much gold in the podcast and all the episodes that we've done. The first year I was doing 2 episodes a month, and this past year I've done an episode every single week. So there is so much gold on this podcast. We have been so consistent in dishing that out to you. And I would love for you to share the podcast with a friend and go fill out that form. Give me feedback on what you want to hear from this podcast in the new year in 2025, because like I said, it's going to be a season of expansion. And what's exciting is I get to invite so many people into it to expand with me. It's not just on me, which is super cool to experience. So thank you for listening to this episode. I hope this filled up your cup today. I cannot wait to connect with you all in the future season and version of me. And until next time, keep following what drives your soul. you so much for joining us for another episode of Soul Driven with Steph. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it out with someone else who needs to hear this message. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so that you know when new episodes drop. And until next time, be sure to take care of your mind, your body, and your soul.